I was not one to believe in things such as ghosts. However, I was still an individual that was easily scared. My friends Mike and Chris would constantly take it upon themselves to scare me. Schemes such as jumping me from behind or telling me some crazy ghost stories. These pointless acts did scare me, but at the end of the day, they were pranks. Amongst the stories and pranks they pulled, nothing struck me more than what I saw on the 3rd floor. During my high school years, I went to a really old-fashioned school. The school at the time had 2 complexes at the campus. On the right side was a newer building, which where most of my classes were held. On the other side was the original 3-floor complex, which was there from around 1930s. We only had 2 classes there, as the school's shitty budget couldn't have all students piled in one area. They used the downstairs of the old building for 2 classes, and the school office on the 2nd floor. Since they had no use for the 3rd floor, they blocked it off from student entry. The 3rd floor used to be upstairs dorm rooms, as the school back in the day was a boarding house for girls. As you would expect, students conducted rumors about what could be up there. Some of these claims were ridiculous, like the school hiding rotting corpses in the floorboards. Honestly, I just ignored these claims. Naturally, Chris and Mike were always curious as to what was up there and constantly urged me to go up there. I, of course, constantly turned them down. Not out of fear, but out of concern for being suspended. However, through peer pressure, I finally decided to go up. That was the last mistake I would ever make. It was around December that my school would always hold an annual Christmas party. These parties went on quite late, with most of the teachers drinking themselves to a point of totally oblivious. Of course, my friends took this as a perfect opportunity to sneak up on the 3rd floor of the school. Mike once again asked me if I wanted to come. At first, I said no. Like I said, time and time again. Come on, he kept insisting. I sighed. Perhaps it would be a bit interesting. Plus, the building was empty, which meant we wouldn't be caught. Fine, I finally said. As I did, Mike's face lit up as he shouted, "Yes," while patting me on the back. I felt a bit happy, knowing my friends really wanted me to come along with them. Mike went to go with Chris, who'd basically go anywhere Mike went. I followed them over the campus. I was as nervous as anyone can be. No, nervous would be a small way of putting it. Petrified would be a better term. I kept thinking, why am I doing this? Am I crazy? As I slowly moved next to Chris, he kept telling me, calm down. It was never easy to me. I kept glancing over as we ran over to the old complex, afraid that we might get caught. To be honest, a part of me wanted us to get caught. Looking back now, I wish we had been. Mike led us to the main hall of the school. The lights were turned off. No shock there. Mike fumbled until he found the light switch. As the lights went on, I could see an expression of excitement on his face. I wish I had the same feeling. Chris and I followed Mike to the 3rd floor staircase. I glanced up and saw a regular "Do Not Enter" sign that was stuck onto the rotten wood. I shrugged this off as best I could. Lucky for us, the wood wasn't high at all, an example of the school's cheap security. Mike slowly climbed over the wood, motioning for us to follow. At this point, my mind was screaming for me to run, so it was either stay or ditch your 2 friends. I sighed, slowly followed Chris as he climbed over the wood. I stepped onto the staircase. The creaking from it unnerved me a bit, wondering if this floor was stable. Still, it was a minor concern. I followed Chris to the top as Mike was already looking around. I reached the last step and glanced around on the top floor. It was surprisingly very well preserved, despite the dust and the fading paint on the walls. It had a very damp smell, which reminded me of dirty laundry. Mike started to dart around the floor, eagerly looking for something interesting. Chris followed him like a puppy, typical behavior of him. I slowly followed them to one of the dorm rooms. It was very dusty, with nothing but a worn-out bed at the center. I kept looking behind my back, half expecting someone to be there. Nothing. The shadows must be getting to me, I thought. We took a look in the other rooms, finding the same thing. One bed in each room. Nothing that special. I could see Mike was getting annoyed. Poor guy, I thought. I laughed in my head at myself about being afraid of this place. Turns out it was nothing but a dump. No ghosts or corpse. Just an old floor. Mike gave up looking, began to make his way downstairs with Chris. I followed behind them slowly, looking over my back. I admit, I was still a bit nervous. I mean, the place was still eerie. As I reached the staircase, I heard a voice from below. I stepped back and I recognized the voice. It was the school janitor. He had called Mike and Chris climbing over the wood. I began to panic. Not wanting to get caught, I darted to one of their dorms, quickly hid in one of the corner of the rooms, waiting for Chris and Mike to be escorted out. Some friend I am, I thought, feeling guilty. I slumped onto the floor and waited. It was quiet. The wood didn't even creak. The only light was the moonlight through the window. The silence began to bother me. I kept thinking that someone was waiting for me to get up. After at least 3 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I jolted up and went into the hallway on the floor. As I moved to the staircase, I saw something catch my eye. I froze in place, not wanting to turn around. I felt a cold feeling that I wasn't alone up here, that someone was behind me. I kept telling myself to run, but I couldn't help but look. I regret every decision I made at that moment. I turned around to find what appeared to be a girl at the end of the hall. She was spaced and had not noticed me. My mind was racing, trying to find out who this girl was and why was she up here. I began to take a step back, telling myself to run. Then I heard the floor creak beneath me, made me jump, at the same time making the girl face me. I froze in place as she looked at me. The girl looked at me so wide-eyed, as if her eyes were going to pop. Her eyes were a black color. Her face looked dirty and slightly rotten, and she wore a worn-out dress. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. For that moment, I never took my eyes off. I kept waiting for her to do something, but she just stood still. She just stared at me for what felt like forever. I needed to get out of there. I kept repeating to myself to run, 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 run. I finally began to step backward. As I did, the girl jerked and began to scream. My blood ran cold as I forced myself to run into the wooden barrier. To my horror, I could hear the screaming getting louder. She was coming for me. I panicked, falling over the wood. I fell over the other side, ignoring the pain. I made a dash for the main hall. I didn't dare turn around. I finally made it outside, taking a second to catch my breath. I found Chris and Mike waiting for me. Mike asked me where I was in rage, but I barely heard him. I was in shock. My heart was racing to the point where I collapsed to the ground. Chris and Mike asked me worriedly what the hell happened, but I could never answer. After that night, I could never look up at my old school complex the same way. I always knew the girl was up there. You would have expected me to tell someone, but I never did. No one would believe me anyway. I still couldn't believe it. It's been 3 years, and I finally graduated from school. Life is good. I've had no reason since the night to feel afraid of anything. That was until graduation day. After my graduation, I was leaving in my car parked near the old building, not thinking about it. I looked up on the 3rd floor window. I then stopped. Staring back at me through the dirty glass was a pair of wide, dark eyes.
Coming to you live from the interstellar waves and Transient Radio Neptune.
Our equipment sucks. It really, really sucks. Our equipment sucks. It really, really sucks. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You mean to tell me we're live now? We're live? We're live now? Shit. Excuse me. Welcome back, Interstellar Radio. Interstellar Radio? What am I talking about? Welcome back, Interstellar Wave Riders, to Transient Radio Neptune. Oh my goodness. Shit. What can we do? So, the broadcast you just heard, we're picking up those transmissions, so anybody in the known galaxy can listen to them as long as you tune into our station. For the time being, we have no idea when the next one might be coming back up. Do we know? No, we don't. No, they're waving to me that we don't know. So, I'm sorry, but for now, I mean, we're gonna go ahead and I don't know what we're gonna do right now, but you know, interstellar waves. Shit. Dead air, we're doing dead air. Give me a bit, tell me something to say to our audience, cause if I don't know what to say, then we don't have a show. Oh, come on. Oh, we're getting another transmission? Okay. Wave Riders out in the cosmos. If you can see, or you can hear, and you can listen, tune in to what's coming up next.
Coming to you live from the interstellar waves and Transient Radio Neptune.
The 3 a.m. myth? Some people consider the 3 a.m. to be the spirit's time to communicate with us. Others think it's the devil's mark. Some even think that when you wake up at this time, someone is watching you. But if someone were to be watching you, how would they watch you if there were no windows or doors in the room you were in? There are many superstitions for what 3 a.m. could be, but I'm going to tell you the real meaning of this worldwide time myth. While you sleep soundly, you dream. While you dream, you are unaware of your surroundings, unaware of what could be lurking in a closet, under your bed, beside you in your covers. Your eyes flutter open, and you check the time on either your watch, your cell phone, alarm clock, or simply whatever you have lying around that has time displayed on it. But knowing the time doesn't really matter, right? You rub your eyes and blink a few times, adjusting to the darkness of your room. You hear the sounds of the floorboards creaking, sounds of pitter-patter along the ground. I'm sure it's just a mouse, you think to yourself. Maybe it's just a mouse, or a large rat, a very large rat, to be making such a loud footsteps. You dare not to look over the edge of your bed, for you are paralyzed in fear. You're just scaring yourself. Enough already with this foolishness. But is it foolishness, or is it the reason to be scared? Are there monsters under your bed, waiting to snatch you on your feet and pull you under when you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, get a drink of water? You don't believe in monsters. No, those were the stories that your mother and father told you as you were a child. The boogeyman, the sandman, other monster stories were just stories to give you a spook, right? Yeah, right. Monsters aren't real. You think You chuckled your childish fears. But wait, what was that? The pitter of the feet seemed to be getting closer. You squeeze your eyes tight, shut as you hear the long, long screech of the door creaking open. Was that a giggle you heard? No, of course not. Mice don't giggle, and neither do rats. You're being delusional. You open your eyes slowly and stare at your ceiling. There is movement under your covers that you stay under to provide you warmth and comfort. It's moving towards you slowly. It's a crooked fashion. It looks as if it's limping beneath the blankets. You are frozen in terror, afraid to move, or else you might give away your location. You feel something tugging at the loose clothes you wear. Oh jeez, what was that? You yank away the covers, throw them on the ground, and you gasp at what you see. The creature is lopsided, grotesque, in a way that makes your stomach turn in knots. It wears torn fabrics, looks like it's hundreds of years old. It tilts its head to the right and gives you a crooked smile. Its dark eyes, without pupils, stare at you, unblinking. You slowly begin to push yourself up into a sitting position, backing away from the creature. This doesn't seem to bother it though. It simply limps closer and closer to you until it has reached your leg. It pulls itself onto you and begins to crawl slowly, oh so slowly. It bears that crooked, toothy grin. Its gray skin hangs from its bony body. It smells horrible, a smell that you have not come to face before, but you know this smell, even without having smelled it. It's a smell of rot, but it's not like any rot, a stinking stench of rot, flesh and blood. What are you gonna do, you think? Lick your lips, eyes widen, not moving them from the creature. It's still inching its way up to your body, coming closer and closer to your face with each limping step. You take a deep breath through your nose and then release a scream so loud you think you've popped your own eardrums. The creature suddenly jerks, heads towards the door and lets out a numerous cry, quickly limps its edge of the bed, jumps, landing on the floor with a thump, rushes out of the door, disappears into the dark of the hallway. You see, 3 a.m. in the morning is when the little things come out to play, when the little things decide it's your lucky day, when the little things show themselves. But don't let this deceive you. The first time you see them is almost certainly the last. You are lucky if you can get away safely. I cannot tell you how to deal with these little things, for they're everywhere, in every home, every hole, nook, and cranny in your house has. How many of you have in your home? It's not a question answered easily. All I can tell you is that they are many. They study you, they plan your demise. No wonder they reek of death.
Coming to you live from the interstellar waves and Transient Radio Neptune.
Interstellar wave riders, if you hear those sirens in the back, then you know what time it is. We have to run. The Popo 50, whatever you want to call them, they're on our tail. Our pirate station will eventually come back. You know, with no sponsors, maybe no guarantees. Well, actually, really, no guarantees whatsoever. But keep cool, ride them waves, and we'll see you soon. Howdy folks, this is Mr. Neptune. Thank you for listening to our inaugural episode. We want to thank you. Hope you give us our support. We have a Twitter. You can find us there, if you can find us. If you can't find us, then keep looking. We also have our YouTube channel, which will be coming up shortly, as well as a couple other forms of media that will be coming by as the time goes on. We will keep making this stuff. We'll keep working at it. We're going to have our fun. But at the end of the day, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Today's stories were The Third Floor by Anonymous and The 3 a.m. Myth by Renigaed, both items found on the creepypasta wiki, and our music provided by Ben Sound from bensound.com with the title track Moose.